What's up, guys? I'm back with another book review. This being Venom Volume 2, Lethal Protector. Finished it today. Started it yesterday, finished it today. 480 pages. So I don't know, don't have much to say in regards to anything new or special or exciting. However, I will say that this is where Venom goes from villain to vigilante. He becomes more of the anti-hero that we know and love today. Venom, aka Mr. Eddie Brock, or rather Eddie Brock, aka Venom, is now turning over a new leaf. He's now heading out west to San Francisco, where apparently he was born and raised. It's funny, I always thought Eddie was from the Bronx, but it turns out that's where he was just living. And originally, if you look at the Lethal Protector limited series, it tells you that he was born and raised in San Francisco, had a sad life. His mom died at an early age. His dad kind of, sort of blamed him for it. Not even kind of, sort of. He totally did. Just never gave him love. And Eddie became an overachiever. And then, as we know, he had his downfall and went kind of crazy. It's sad. I just want to say Lethal Protector 1 to 6, which is the last 6 issues, the last story in this book. So awesome. I can't wait to read more of Venom. I love that now we've gone away from but Spider-Man does appear in Lethal Protector. So it's like, God, Venom can't get away from the shadow of Spider-Man. But I really did enjoy it. And I know in the subsequent volumes ahead, it's going to be all about Venom and less to do with Spider-Man. So I'm looking forward to it. I really enjoyed it. This is actually the last little bits of Spider-Man involved. Spider-Man stories. We have, of course, Carnage, I should say. 361, 2, and 3 are featured here, which is when Cletus Cassidy becomes Carnage, goes through his initial reign of terror, and Spider-Man has to go to the island where Venom thinks he's won and killed Spider-Man. He takes Johnny Storm of the Fantastic Four, the Human Torch, and convinces Venom to come back and help him stop Carnage from murdering everybody in New York. That takes 3 issues. And yeah, this is actually that's the third time. This is the third time I've read this storyline. So triple dipping, but I still enjoyed it. Triple dipping meaning that I purchased 3 books, Spider-Man, Carnage, and now this one, Venom, to read the same storyline basically. But again, it's an opportunity to read this awesome storyline 3 times. Awesome. Epic. Let's say it's epic storyline. And it's featured in, what is it? Volume 23. I'm going to say 23 of Amazing Spider-Man, Volume 23. Let me find out. Hold on. Real quick, let me just see. It is, yes. Yes. In fact, it actually starts in the first issue of Volume 23, The Hero Killers. Yes, right after Round Robin, and Volume 1 of Carnage. I should be better prepared for this, guys. Pardon me. Yes, okay. And also Volume 1 of Carnage, which is Born in Blood, and Volume 2, which is Lethal Protector in Venom. So you get 3 opportunities to read this 3-part storyline, which introduces us, the reader, to Cletus Cassidy as Carnage. So that occurs. Then we have a really cool 4-part storyline called Spirits of Venom, which runs from Web of Spider-Man 95-96 and Ghost Rider and Blaze Spirits of Vengeance, number 5 and 6. So it goes like 95, 5, 96, 6 of those titles crosses over. And you get Spider-Man and Venom and Ghost Rider and Johnny Blaze. Oh, we call him John Blaze because he's no longer Ghost Rider, but he's just John Blaze rather than Johnny. and they take on Demo Goblin, Doppelganger, which is interesting because Doppelganger, Demo Goblin, and Venom are going to, of course, hook up with Spider-Man, fight Spider-Man, whatever, during the Maximum Carnage storyline, which I'm pretty sure Volume 3 of Venom will feature in some capacity, because what else are they gonna feature besides Funeral Pyre 1, 2, and 3? That's probably like the only miniseries that's not, or limited series that hasn't been featured yet. Venom, Funeral Pyre. And then what? So most likely Maximum Carnage will be featured in Volume 3. But in Spirits of Venom, we have Hobgoblin. It's Jason McIndale. And he's running from Demo Goblin, because Demo Goblin is the demonic version of Hobgoblin that was created during the Inferno storyline. Doppelganger, the Spider Doppelganger, which was created during the Infinity War storyline, which was created when the Magus, which is the evil side of Warlock, Adam Warlock, created every Marvel superhero's bad version of themselves. So the Doppelganger is a bad version of Spider-Man. So he's involved, Demo Goblin's involved, and of course, like I said, they'll be involved later with Maximum Carnage. But here, them, along with Venom, tangle with Ghost Rider and John Blaze, and who else was in it? There was somebody else. There was like, it felt like a lot of characters involved. The Death Spawn, which include Hag and Troll, which I wasn't familiar with before, but they're trying to resurrect Death Watch, some character named Death Watch, back to life by feeding people to the shadow creatures. Well, not the shadow creatures, but the Death Watch himself or itself, to resurrect and become, back to life. Yeah, and there's the Death Spawn. There's a lot of characters. But it was a good storyline, very quick read. I enjoyed that one. Venom was involved in that. Some excerpts are also utilized here in order to move the story along, to progress the story. And then ultimately we move on to Amazing Spider-Man 370. Oh, no, actually, and then there's Marvel Comics Presents 117 through 122, which was actually a pretty cool 6-part storyline, which had Nightmare, who's normally Doctor Strange's enemy. Nightmare is using Wolverine and Venom, like he's getting them in their dreams and getting them to come together so that Nightmare can get Professor Xavier, like he's trying to get Wolverine to be vulnerable so he can get into Wolverine's mind, so he can get at Professor Xavier. And of course, Professor Xavier is my favorite character, so I was really glad that he had some part in it. And use his telepathy to control people's minds and their dreams and stuff. That's what Nightmare's trying to do. He's just trying to get to Xavier through Wolverine, and he's using Venom as a way to, I guess, weaken Wolverine. I don't know. It was a good story, but I don't know. We could have done without it in some ways. Sam Keith did the penciling, and was it Michelini? Hold on. I have my contacts in so I can actually see pretty well. Let's see. It was Howard Mackey. Okay. Oh, that's right. Howard Mackey. We have David Michelini doing the Amazing Spider-Man issues. Then we have Howard Mackey doing the Ghost Rider. He actually did the 4-part Spirits of Venom story. He was writing Web of Spider-Man and Spirits of Vengeance at that time. So he did that whole storyline, which was great. I love Howard Mackey's writing. He did the Marvel Comics Presents. And then that leads us into Amazing Spider-Man 373, 4, and 5, written by Michelini. And pencils by Mark Bagley, who's one of my favorite pencilers. Like right after McFarlane, Larson, then we get Bagley. So it's just continuous great art and writing, continually written by David Michelini. And yeah, this is where Venom gets his redemptive arc, where he finally, by 375, he kidnaps Peter's parents, Richard and Mary Parker, who aren't really his parents, and decides by 375 to turn over a new leaf and leave Spider-Man and Peter Parker. I mean, I always say them differently because it seems like somebody has a problem with Peter, somebody has a problem with Spider-Man. In Venom's case and Eddie Brock's case, they had a problem with both characters, with both Spidey and Peter, even though they're the same person. But That's why I mentioned them separately. But they finally decide, okay, you know what? We've had enough of you. You tried to help, you didn't try, you did. You helped save our ex-wife. We get to learn a little bit about Brock, his first wife named Anne Wang, who's played by Michelle Williams in the movies, which I don't really want to talk about. But she's in 375, and Spider-Man saves her life. And then Venom's like, okay, we'll leave you alone. That's it. Goodbye. And he didn't want to, it was funny. He didn't want to hurt Peter's parents. Like, they made want us to think like, oh, he's going to hurt Richard and Mary Parker. But it was more like Venom even says he's protecting them from Peter and Spider-Man's influence because Spider-Man is so bad. You got to read it to believe it. It was very well written. I enjoyed it. Oh yeah, there's a sequence in 373 where he squeezes this security guard's head with his tendrils, like squeezes it, and off screen there's like a pop sound. It's like he squeezed his head so tightly, it's gross. Yeah, and I had these issues too, in individual issues in my bags and boards. So it was so great to read these again. I remember, and then following that, 376 and 7 is the Sticks and Stone and Cardiac, and then 378, 9, and 80 is Maximum Carnage. So we're right on the cusp of Maximum Carnage. So again, that leads us to, from 375 into Lethal Protector. Venom goes to San Francisco now, but for whatever reason, Spider-Man has to go after Venom. He forgot. And by the way, this is written by Michelini. So Michelini probably forgot his own writing, but apparently he made a promise to Venom that he was going to leave him alone and not fuck with him. This is what Venom said. And guys, Venom could totally kill Spider-Man. I mean, there's no question about it. The fact that he survives is just pure fucking dumb luck. Venom, yeah, more than capable of killing Spider-Man whenever he wants to, but he decides to let him live and leave him alone. But for whatever reason, Peter Parker, and as Spider-Man, has to go out west and harass Venom. It's just stupid, Who wants to go after their tormentor when their tormentor's like, okay, I'll leave you in peace? No, Peter has to do that. But it's interesting. Lethal Protector 1 through 6 has a lot of stuff going for it. There's a developer named Roland Treese, who's trying to get some gold that's hidden underground underneath a park in San Francisco, which turned out to be old San Francisco, which was destroyed during the 1906 earthquake, which happened in real life. So they use a little bit of historical reference for that to tell the story. Brock, now trying to be good, trying to protect the innocents, is told by these people, no, you can't stay here because you're Venom and we can't trust you, even though he saved them from these guys called the Diggers, which were sent by Treese to flush them out so we can find the gold. Then they cast him out. Then he hooks up with what was it? There's Carlton Drake from the Life Foundation, who, for those of you who are familiar with Amazing Spider-Man, have been trying to get after Spider-Man for a while. They try to get they trap Venom and bring him to the Mojave Desert. This is about like by issue 4. They bring him out to the Mojave Desert, and then it turns out they took a seed of the Venom symbiote and made 5 fucking symbiotes. So there's Scream, Agony, Phage, Riot, and Lasher, who make their first appearance in issue 4. 2 of them are women, 3 of them are men. And then that happens, and then Spider-Man comes to the Mojave Desert and helps Venom, and then they go back to San Francisco. Meanwhile, and like issue 2, issue 2 introduces Orwell Taylor, who's the father of the son whom Venom killed in Amazing Spider-Man 315. In volume 1, Venom escaped from the vault and he killed an innocent, and he was remorseful about that. He even kissed him on the forehead, but he laid him out, and it was sad in a way, but Venom was remorseful for killing this guy. So the father, his name's Orwell Taylor. Orwell, kind of terrible. George Orwell, fine, but like Orwell, who would name their kid their first name being Orwell? Anyway, so this is also the first appearance of the jury, and the jury will later make an appearance in Amazing Spider-Man, I believe 384, 5, and 6, because they blame Spider-Man for helping Venom, the jury I'm talking about. So they'll make an appearance later, but they make a first appearance here in Lethal Protector. So that's that. Then Peter goes to meet his Eddie's father, Carl, and that's where we learn from the housekeeper that Carl just didn't show any love to Eddie. So Eddie just tried really hard to gain his father's love. His story arc reminded me a little bit of Flash Thompson for some reason. Like Eddie, Flash, their fathers were mean to them. They became overachievers, athletes, muscular studs, but like nothing impressed their fathers. And of course, both of them became Venom. You know, Flash Thompson later becomes Venom. Like in the 2000s, like way later. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, like, there's just like a lot of characters, a lot of people, a lot of storylines, a lot of subplots. But they all wrap up individually. But I feel like maybe they could have cut one or two subplots. They didn't really need Carlton Drake. But again, it introduced the symbiotes, which was cool and pretty neat. And yeah, who's the other guy? Well, Treese, I think, I mean, his storyline was kind of lame. Like he's digging for gold. Whatever. Anyway, long story short, Spider-Man and Venom team up, stop Treese, stop Taylor, stop Drake, stop all these people, stop the symbiotes, and they live happily ever after. Peter goes back to New York. Eddie decides to stay in San Francisco and is accepted finally by the people underground to live among them, since he helped save them from Roland Treese and the Diggers and all that stuff. But there are some characters in the community underground that don't like this dude. I had the worst name, Reverend Rake Straw. Rake Straw. Dumbest name. I don't know what David Michelinie was thinking of, but just fucking dumbass name for a character. But he seems to be antagonistic towards Eddie. And I think with Funeral Pyre, which is the next limited series, which will most likely be in volume 3, he'll be the next antagonist that Eddie and Venom have to deal with. And there's a love interest kind of in this woman, Elizabeth. You can kind of see it. And she has a son named Timothy. It's pretty good. Overall, pencils. The first 3 issues are done by Mark Bagley. So you got the Michelinie Bagley team, which I love. And then 4, 5, and 6 is penciled by Ron Lim, who's still good. Ron Lim, still a pretty good artist. I like his stuff in the Infinity Saga, Crusade, Gauntlet, War. You know, that whole trifecta with Jim Starlin. And he did Silver Surfer. He did a lot, which I haven't read yet, which I really want to read. I want to read Silver Surfer. God damn it. But he works a lot with Ron Mars on the Silver Surfer series. So I'm familiar with Ron Lim. And that's pretty much it, guys. 480 pages, so it's a couple pages more than Volume 1, Symbiosis. But it's really good stuff. This is from, forget if this is Web of Spider-Man 95 or 96. It's one of those. But yeah, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, Venom, Demo Goblin, Hobgoblin. Hobgoblin doesn't do anything. It's just Jason Macendale being like, help, protect me. Doppelganger. It's a good collection. So now, finally, there's no Volume 3 of Venom yet. They did announce Volume 6, Planet of the Symbiotes. So I am moving on to Volume 4, The Madness, which I actually really like this cover. It looks really stark and bleak, like green, funky tongue. You know, we got Danny Fingeroth, Ann Nocenti, Bruce Jones, Carl Potts, Howard Mackey, still on board. And we got some people I don't know here. We have Smith, K. Jones, McLeod. I'm going to assume that's Bob McLeod. Sharp, Liam Sharp, and Ron Lim. So I don't know these K. Jones and Smith. Out of respect for them, let's see who they are. These are the pencilers. So we have Todd Smith. Okay, Todd Smith, Kelly Jones. Okay, so it's Kelly Jones, Todd Smith. We got a lot of people here. Of the writers, Len Kaminsky, Danny Fingeroth, Ann Nocenti, Bruce Jones, Peter David, Carl Potts, Terry Kavanaugh, and Howard Mackey. And of the pencilers, we got Kevin Hopgood, never heard of him, Todd Smith, Kelly Jones, Bob McLeod, Jim Craig, Liam Sharp, Mark Tenney, and Ron Lim with Roy Burdine or Burdine. I don't know. And that's the Madness, guys. Volume 4. Oh wow, bunch of stuff here. Iron Man 302. It's getting dark over here, so let me see. Iron Man 302, Dark Hawk 35 to 37, and of course a lot of the limited series. Venom, the Madness, Venom, the Enemy Within, Incredible Hulk versus Venom. I already read that one in the Incredible Hulk epics. Venom, the Mace, Night Watch, and Venom, Knights of Vengeance. Yeah, and they're all like limited series. It's like 1 through 3, 1 through 4, 1 through 5, 6, you know. So, yeah. And it's part of the legacy numbering, by the way. Apparently, these limited series do add up to a Venom legacy count, a legacy numbering. So, Lethal Protector is the first 6 issues. So, yeah, guys, that's it. Venom Volume 4, The Madness, is going to be the next one. Look at that. And that's not Ghost Rider. Who's that? I don't know. I'll have to look, guys. But keep reading. This came out a couple years ago. So actually, no, I think maybe last year this came out. So it's still, this came out before Volume 5, Carnage Unleashed. So maybe last year? No, Volume 7 came out. No, this came out 23. Okay, who gives a fuck? Guys, just read it. This is the next one. Read this and read this. Volume 2. We're going from Volume 2 to 4 because Marvel have not released Volume 3 for whatever reason. All right, we're well over 20 minutes, guys. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. I hope you learned something. Like, subscribe, comment, or don't, whatever. I read these epics, so you don't have to, but I do encourage you to keep reading. And yeah, we'll see you next time, guys. Bye now.